Afternoon. Thank you for joining NetSuite year-end close webinar. My name is Chris. I'm a NetSuite consultant at Nolan, and I have the pleasure today to chair this presentation. Apart from being a NetSuite ERP consultant, I'm also a qualified accountant with years of experience in various financial functions, ranging from accounting, preparing financial statements, auditing them, to overseeing whole financial function. During the presentation, I will share my experience with you to give you a practical context of the steps you will go through during the end-year close processes. Okay, what we'll be going today? First, we'll start with some corporate overview. What is NetSuite? What are its key differentiators? Then we will jump to our year-end close processes. We will start with preparing for the year-end close. There are a couple of processes you can do up front before you even open the NetSuite close checklist. This will help you to streamline your processes and to move faster later. Then we will learn how to navigate NetSuite closing checklist, and we will learn how to log accounts payables, accounts receivables, general ledger. We will be working on completing the inventory closing tasks, as well as creating intercompany adjustments, evaluating foreign currency balances, calculating consolidated exchange rates, eliminating intercompany transactions. Finally, we will close the general ledger. We will have a couple of words about the automatic and manual year-end closure procedures. Then we will finish with summary and closing remarks. At the end, you'll have some options to ask some questions or send them later to our email address. We'll be happy to answer them. Now a couple of words about NetSuite. It was founded in 1998. The system is investing a lot recently and developing all the time its functionalities. Currently, it's employed by 30,000 organizations. It's working in 160 countries. The system has very rich features which are accessible with ERP and CRM features, as well as finance functions, which we will discuss now. In some situations, maybe a little bit difficult to find some option in NetSuite, but now this webinar for. We will go through this together. Okay. A couple of words about preparing for the year-end close. Because the focus of this webinar is really to show you how to use NetSuite checklist and how to close your accounts. But I have found that there are many things you can do between now and your year-end processes to streamline your year-end and to move it faster. You can review the status of your prior year audit finding. You can review your TB, or you can basically close all previous periods if necessary. First, if your company is qualified for auditing, you should review your previous year audit findings. This is basically the first thing auditors will ask for and look at as they come again to your company. From my experience, those findings are very often left hidden in the drawer and only open in the very last minute. Please avoid the stress for yourself. Open them earlier, try to work through them, try to implement some solutions. Then you will have a lot less stress and the year-end closure will be much faster. Very good practice is also to create and review your trial balance before entering the close checklist. You are familiar with your accounts and you will quickly spot some abnormalities. For example, there are some strange accounts on your reporting chart of account on your TB. Some balances are expectedly high or low. All of this may suggest some accounting errors. And if you would like to make them a little bit more visible, you can even compare movements in this year in comparison to the previous year. So then doing this as well will make you more familiar with current year results, and if later during the process you will be asked to comment some differences, you will be in a very comfortable position in order to do it. Two previous activities may result in a need to post some adjustments to correct the results. Those adjustments may result as well from your observations and confirmation of the status with wider financial team. For example, if your company is paying their bonuses in stages and creating the accruals for it now, but you know now that some employees left the company and they are not eligible for the payments, you can already incorporate it in your schedules and reduce the accrual. The same with assessing the status of your balance sheet reconciliations. I'm pretty sure not all accounts are reconciled by you month after month. Some with some very rare transactions are left until the last moment. You can go now, prepare the reconciliation, then you will spare your time later. Closing all previous periods. If you don't close your monthly periods regularly, or you have a couple of them missed already, now it's good time to finish the closure of the previous periods and not leaving them for the year-end close processes. The last activity, you can ensure that proper level of accesses and responsibilities will be assigned to financial users performing year-end closing processes. The reason behind is that the year-end closing processes are pretty specific. And for example, the person performing the year closing left the company, changed a function, or maybe the whole department went through major restructuring processes. You need to ensure that you will assign the process to the proper person. This person will have the proper accesses. And this is very crucial because you don't want to waste your time contacting your IT department, testing the accesses, and discussing all of this during the busy period. Why is preparing for the year-end close is also so important? Because many companies are in the process of constantly reducing the closing cycle from 3 months to 2 months, then a couple of days every month or a quarter, whatever. If you do all of this, you will make sure your process will be faster and you will be much better positioned later to close your financial year a couple of days, weeks earlier than you usually do. Okay, now we will move to the NetSuite and we will show you the closing checklist and the process involved here. Okay, this is basically the system. How we can open the closing checklist in NetSuite? We will go to the setup. We will go to the accounting, manage GL, and here you have manage accounting periods. Before even we will open it, let's discuss quickly what is this managing accounting periods. Basically, we will have an option to open closing checklist in NetSuite. Then this will give you opportunity to review the impact of the financial activities and even to recalculate some financial activities within the system. At the end, you may close the accounting period. Closing an accounting period means changing its status from open to closed. A status of closed indicates that posting transactions for the period have been completed. The status prevents posting to general ledger to any dates included in the period by anyone. Closing a period should be a final step after a process of accounts review and reconciliations to ensure correctness and balance. Closing a quarter or year means basically closing all of these periods. Okay? Now let's open the manage accounting periods. What we see now on your screen, you have all your financial accounting periods on your left, here aggregated by the years. What we see here as well, we see whether those periods are closed. This is this period closed column and this white tick in the green circle. We see then all the periods have been closed up to December 2016, and we will be working today on year-end 16 closure, so closure the December 16 accounting period. We have also on the right here, we have the logged subledgers. We have logged account payables transactions, logged accounts receivable transactions, and general ledger transactions logged as well. This is a good moment to tell you the difference between the locking a transaction and closing the transactions. Closing a transaction or closing a period prevents posting for any dates included in the period by anyone. This should be the final step in the closure processes. But locking the transactions for a period prevents users without override permissions from posting to the subledgers already logged. So basically, after locking the period, system administrators or people with override permissions still can post the transaction to the subledgers here. Permissions restriction for locked and closed accounting periods only apply for posting transactions. They do not apply for non-posting transactions. So for example, even still after locking and closing period, you can still post sales order estimates, return authorizations, transfer orders, etc. As well as if you haven't approved commissions, expense reports, and control and journal entries, you can still change them as well. Okay. We are currently working on December 16, as I mentioned. Let's open for now January 17 and see what happened. The system will warn us that basically you have previous periods to close first. But as this is a new period, let's discuss what we have here. We see here the list of tasks on the screen, as well as on the left, we see which task can we work on. Those are with those white arrows in the green circle here. Some tasks require some prerequisites, and we cannot open and work on them until we will finish some others as well. The status column here is telling us whether this task are already completed, or as here we have blank, so we haven't even started work on this yet. A little bit about the task itself. We can divide them into the locking the subledgers, account receivables, payables, and all. About resolving the mismatches between the transaction dates and accounting periods. We'll discuss it a little bit later in detail. About closing the inventory subledger, so task is reviewing the negative inventory, reviewing the cost accounting, and reviewing inventory activity, as well as tasks related to the complex structure for one word account. If there are multiple subsidiaries here, so intercompany adjustments, consolidated exchange rates, and intercompany transactions. If we're using multiple currencies, we also evaluate open currencies. Okay. Now we will move back to the period we'll be working on. You can do it clicking on the list here. Then we'll come again to the list of all the accounting periods we have here. And now we can open again the close checklist for the period in December, clicking this button here. We see here that we already worked on this previously, and we have here a status by who did some task already. We already see that account payables has been locked. We'll unlock it very shortly for the purpose of this demonstration. And we see then some transactions are in some tasks are already in progress. Those are these 3 dots here in the green circle. Okay, we'll unlock first the account payables. And now we'll see already the status is open again. It's not locked as it was previously. Maybe one more remark about the task. This is a standard list of closing tasks in NetSuite. Nevertheless, your list may be different than this we have on the screen. For example, if you are running NetSuite only on a single legal entity, you don't need to worry about the intercompany adjustments, about the elimination of intercompany transactions or calculation consolidated exchange rates, because those checks and those tasks are designed for more complex company structure. The same if you operate only in a single currency. No revaluation of open foreign currency balances is required, because all balances you have here and all open transactions you have within your account are basically in one currency. On the other side, however, you need to remember that even the most comprehensive list here in NetSuite will not cover checks for all your company processes. And some of them you need to remember to run within your system. For example, just to name a few, fixed asset closing. You do not have the task here on the list. If you're running fixed asset, nevertheless, with this NetSuite or outside of NetSuite, you need to ensure that all financial processes will be reflected within your financial statements. Okay. Now we will discuss locking first 3 subledgers here. Basically, the basic schema for them is the same and consists of 4 steps. First, we should ensure that all postings of all the transactions for the period have been completed. Then we should review those postings using the reports. Then we should perform the record management to ensure that the correct quality of the information of customer vendors are within the systems and then inactive the unnecessary records. And finally, we can come to the list here and lock the period for changes. So you also see that working with this list is not all we should do. There are a lot of activities underground we should perform as well. Okay. First step should be posting all transactions for the posting periods into that map. When we are entering the transaction in NetSuite, it's important to consider the concept of cutoff and the transaction date versus the posting period. Cutoff relates to the posting of the transaction in the correct accounting period. When transaction date and transaction period, both of these fields are available on the transaction record. And typically, you would like to ensure that a transaction date aligns with the accounting period. But it may be not always the case. Sometimes the transaction is dated, for example, the 13th of December, and should be posted in the December accounting period, but it's posted in January accounting period. And we would like to know the situations. We will later discuss why. After all these transactions have been posted in the general ledger, we're discussing now accounts receivables, you would like to review some reports to ensure everything is correct here. So I will show you quickly which reports you can review. So if you go to the reports, customer receivables, now you will open the account receivables register. We will see that here in December for this month, you had only one huge contract with the customer Aaron Abbott for the amount £186,000. If we know there are other transactions happen within this month, they are not here, we should account for them appropriately and add them to the system. The second report we can review for accounts receivables, it's accounts receivables aging report. Again, on this report here, as we see, we have a couple of receivables which are older than 3 months. For example, this large and Zurich account here. And if we know, for example, that there are some litigation process with this customer and the probability of paying this balance in full or even partially is really low, so we should write off the debts now, the bad debts now here. A third step for closing the accounts receivables will be customer record management. This step involves reviewing the activity by the customers and determining whether they should remain active or they should be marked inactive in NetSuite. It also involves updating customer records as necessary. For example, updating credit limits, removing a contact from a customer record that's no longer with that customer, or any other information we know that change. We may have different procedures for reviewing the customers, for making them inactive. But to produce a list of potential customers to make inactive, we may simply run a safe search, filtering for all active customers that haven't had any transaction with us for the last 2 years. For doing this, I have created here a safe search for this purpose, so we will run this quickly. And the system will automatically display for us customers which we haven't had any transaction for a longer time. We can go to the records and make them inactive. How we can go to the records of the customer, how we can make this inactive? If we, for example, pick one of the customers we have here. So let's say we will use a global search for it, the Anglian Water customer, and we'll click Edit straight away. We can review the transaction with the customer, make sure we would like to make this inactive as well. If we are required, we can change the data here if they are not up to date. We can go to the system information. After making this inactive and saving, the customer will be unavailable on all the sales transactions. Also, we may update the credit limits or making customers inactive following our customers' due diligence reviews. Okay. After we did all the steps here, we can finally go to the list and mark the task completed. We are working here with a multi-group structure, so we see here a lot of subsidiaries. You may decide either to log the task and to close the period for one subsidiary, review it and then close the next ones, or do it for all others as well. For purpose of this demonstration, we will do it for all subsidiaries. After we click the Submit button, we will see this subledger, account receivables, is already locked for changes. Now we can move to the account payables. We need to do similar processes, so we need to ensure that all the transactions will be posted for the period. Then we can go to the reports, and these situations will be vendors. Give me a sec here. We need to find vendors payables here. Then we can review the accounts payable register to find any transaction missing for the period, if there are any, and to go to accounts payables aging. This can, for example, tell us if we haven't paid some balance for a long time, basically we can change our vendor for sending the credit or for some balance there is here. After we're sure everything is fine with the transaction, we should review the vendor's record as well. ensuring that unnecessary vendors will be made inactive. You can use the safe search as previously for it, or for example, if we know already we don't want to do business anymore with one of the vendors, we can do it inactive straight away. After we finish all those tasks, we can go to the account payables here. For all the subsidiaries, mark this task as complete and log this accounts payable subledger. Okay, log all tasks here. This basically provides additional layer of security for accounts receivables, payables, for payroll, and it logs posting to the whole general ledger with all subledgers within NetSuite. So if we go here, we perform all of the activities, reviewed all the journals, accruals, all the positions we would like to post within the year, and for all subsidiaries, if you are ready for it, we can mark this task as complete and log our general ledger for posting. Remember here that even after marking those 3 tasks complete and locking them, system administrators and user with override permissions still can post transactions, as this we discussed earlier. Okay, resolving date and period mismatches. So this task relates, as we discussed earlier, to the situation when there is a mismatch between transaction date and accounting period. The system would like to check whether this is a mistake or we really would like to have this transaction. If we would click on this button here, the system will find for us those transactions and this journal here, which was posted for the 13th of December, but in the January accounting period, not December accounting period. We can go here, edit the journal, or for the reason of this presentation, we'll back to the period closed and mark task as complete. Okay. What else? The next three tasks here are related to the inventory. And first, we should traditionally ensure that all inventory-related transactions are accounted properly within the NetSuite. Then we can begin the reconciliation of our inventory, the physical quantity counting in each location, and ensure the NetSuite reflects the real situation. During the reconciliation process, we would like to find out any negative inventory and correct them accordingly. It will be much easier to address them before starting the end closure processes than, for example, waiting for the response from the warehouse manager. After the inventory posting and reconciliation have been completed, we can review the results. For example, going to the transactions, inventory, and review negative inventory here. We'll go through the stats later, so I will not open it now. Or, for example, going to the reports, inventory items, current inventory status for reconciliation, physical inventory worksheet, or inventory evaluation. After we review the results, as well, we should review the inventory records, update missing or obsolete information, and mark inventory items inactive if necessary. An important consideration here is whether the inventory item is a component of the group, kit, or assembly that will continue to be sold. If so, we should not make them inactive here. Okay. Now open the first task here, review negative inventory. Okay, after clicking on this button here, the system will produce the report we already mentioned, showing us the negative inventory for the items. We see we have a couple of them. We should solve it as soon as possible because this will impact our cost accounting. We can contact the warehouse managers, ask them to update the shipping. If there's only timing differences between fulfilling the sales order to the customer and receiving the goods. After we did all of this, we can also mark tasks as complete. For the purpose of this presentation, I will not do all corrections, but nevertheless, in the real system, you should really do it. And then you should review the inventory cost accounting. After clicking this button here, Review Inventory Cost Accounting, the system will run cost calculation for the inventory. This means that all transactions bringing the inventory in and out, as well as the prices, will be included in the inventory valuation, using whatever method you choose to use to value inventory. So if you left some transaction outside of the accounting period, what we checked previously, or you have some negative inventory as well, those will not be included in this valuation, and the result will be incorrect. Let's click on this review inventory calculation. The system will tell us that the cost calculation has been performed. Back to the period close, and now we can mark task as complete here as well. Reviewing inventory activity here. After closing 2 previous inventory tasks, you have an additional opportunity to review all inventory transactions with great level of details. Review again the negative inventory, missing transaction. If you spot any mistakes, you can correct them again. So if you come to this task here, then you click on Review Inventory Activities. The system will display the report with your inventories. You again can look here for negative inventories, for transactions, incorrect posted, etc. If you spot some mistake, you can ask the administrator to unlock the previous task and to make the proper corrections. We will mark this complete here as well. Okay, now we finished all the sub-ledgers, account receivables, payables, general ledger, inventory ledger. Now we are moving to create intercompany adjustments. This task looks basically as your intercompany time and expense transactions, and using them to create adjustment to post only those 2 transactions to general ledger. For example, if the employee is entering the time and expense transactions, they can mark them as intercompany, and then they will not be posted to general ledger until we will go to the task here and hit this button. Then the values will be allocated across the subsidiaries and posted to general ledger. We didn't have transaction in this period, but basically here we will see the results, the allocation between the subsidiaries, the currency, and the amount allocated. Okay, now we will go back to the task and mark it as complete as well. Now we will in the next tab, evaluate open foreign currency balances. This task is basically required if you run your transaction in multiple currencies. NetSuite automatically posts the gain or loss amounts for transactions that are closed in each accounting period. But if the transactions are open or there are open balances in foreign currencies, you need to perform this task. This will be applicable for unpaid invoices, bills, or foreign currency balances. Okay, so now we will open this task here. We can run the currency revaluation by this button. Choose for which accounts we will run it through. This is also depending on the account setup. The enable to currency revaluation flag. We will rack it to the whole structure, and by saving this button, we will start the process of running the balances. We see in process now. We may wait a little, and then they will be updated. After this will be run, you can open all the transaction evaluation, for example, as this one here, and you will see what the system had did, what is the result of the unrealized gain and loss. Okay, we'll mark this complete as well. Normally you should wait until the process will be finished, but we don't have that much time for it. And now, the next step is calculating consolidated exchange rates. What is the difference really? Because the previous task was evaluating the foreign currency balances at the subsidiary level. If you run multiple subsidiaries with different functional currencies, you need to create a consolidated report. So you need to have the consolidated exchange rates in order to translate the balances here. And in order to do it, you need to calculate consolidated exchange rates and then hit the calculate button here. What the system will do, will calculate the average and historical rates, as well as it will apply the cumulative translation adjustment. Because if for some accounts you will be using this rate, for some accounts you will use average rate, for some accounts you will be historical rate, there will be imbalance of your consolidated balance sheet. The system will place the balancing figure and the cumulative translation adjustments. Okay? We come back to the period close and we'll mark this as complete as well here. We have elimination of intercompany transactions. This is a standard elimination. So for example, if you have intercompany sales. They will appear for one subsidiary as a sales, for another subsidiary as a purchases. The same as you have loans. On one side there will be receivables, on the other side there will be payables. You can either in NetSuite. So basically, those transactions should be included on the single subsidiaries, but for the consolidation they should be excluded. So in order to avoid the manual journal creation, you can ask the system to do it for you. There are 4 requirements in order to do it. You should enable intercompany elimination feature. You should set up the elimination subsidiary. You should set up intercompany accounts under reporting chart of accounts. And you should account all intercompany transactions using the intercompany journals. If you have all of this set up and working properly, the system will automatically place the elimination journals for you after clicking this button here. If there are some problems, whatever, if you miss something, you can still place some manual journals in order to correct this as well. Okay. After the process will finish, you will see here the balances done by the system. For example, here we have for the X elimination EMEA, we can click here to view the journal, and we see what the system automatically creates us, whether we agree with this or we would like to make some changes. This is basically a huge, it can bring you a lot of time during the process. Okay, we can mark the tasks as complete as well. Next one is GL audit numbering. I will only mention this briefly because a lot of people ask me what meaningful audit report you can use from NetSuite. Basically, this report and this sequence numbering here enables you to apply gapless numbering sequence to all GL general ledger posting transactions. That's why you can meet the international auditing requirements. Basically, in order to see this task on your screen, you need to go to the setup, the company, enable features, and then under the accounting tab here, you see GL audit numbering. After you enable this feature, you have this task here, and you will have the opportunity to review and print the report with gapless sequence for all the transactions, regardless of whether they are open, they are closed, they are deleted, whatever. It's very good for your auditors. Okay? If you would like to do the GL auditor, you need to go here, assign a sequence, as we have here. Here we are running for 2 calendars, so you need to choose subsidiaries under one calendar, assign the sequence, and then choose another and assign the sequence as well. Then after you do it, you can also review the report right here. Okay? We'll come back, mark the task as complete. And now, the last task we have here is closing of the period. Usually, this is basically the final step. And this step, because we close all of the previous months for this year, and all of this task for the last period in the year will also close the year. What it means from NetSuite perspective? As you already know, we will prohibit posting for anyone's transaction for this year. But remember that NetSuite includes your P&L within your balance sheet. So it means that balance sheet accounts represent this and previous year financial results. So return earnings is not a standard account, and you do not have the clearing P&L results after the end closure and posting the results to the returned earnings. But the results are basically associated with the accounting periods. So the system will automatically know to which period they relate and how they can be displayed on your financials. Practically, unless you specifically decide to post something to the return earnings account, the account register will show no transaction for this. All those on your balance sheet report, the result will automatically display the correct results. Okay? Let's say we are going here. We are fine with all the processes we performed, and we can close our year. Now we see that everything is closed. We see the status of the period and the last and the year is closed as well. Finally, at the end, we should review all the results what we have here. We should review the profit and loss for the year. as well as we should review other financials, so the balance sheet report, cash flow, and if we need additional disclosures to prepare them as well. If we go to the balance sheet, what I wanted to show you, basically on the balance sheet, you have the return earnings and net income. Net income, this is your current year results. Return earnings, they are the previous year results. You cannot click this as normal account register and go to the results because there's no account register. So basically, they are all previous accounting results here are aggregated under the return earnings. It's very good for reviewing the data in NetSuite from this perspective. Here we have, for example, as well this cumulative translation adjustment, which was created after we posted this consolidated exchange rates. Okay. If we go now to the accounting checklist, we will see that this whole period, December 16, is closed, as well as all subledgers are allowed here. Let's move to one scenario here, because what if we or our auditors found a material error in the previous periods, and we need to open periods and correct this, basically. So we can do it like this. So if we will, for example, find an error in October 2016, we can go to the checklist, clicking on this close button here. The system will allow us to reopen the period. We need to provide only justification. It's pretty important for our records to provide a meaningful justification for auditors why we're opening. For example, correcting auditors' findings. If we will now click reopen periods, the system will warn us that we will not only reopen the October period, but also all subsequent periods. We agree with this because we need to do those corrections, so we will open it. After we do it, and we come to the list, we will see that indeed, not only October has been opened, but also the November and December. After we did the correction in October, do we need to now go again through the whole checklist for October, November, and December, and to close all of them again? We can, of course. We can do it also a little bit faster by closing multiple periods here. If you don't have a button, you can enable it very quickly by going to the setup, to the accounting preferences, which is here, then under the general, and then here you have allow quick close of accounting periods. If you have this button here, you can click it, and basically you can click all the periods up to the November at once. There's only one consideration. Basically, what you are doing here, you're only marking the task as complete, but you're not performing any actions, not reviewing any reports, doing currency revaluation, assigning it to numbers. So, if basically you are sure, then you need only to mark this as completed and do not do anything here. You can do it. But if from practical reason you need to, for example, evaluate your inventory, and then this revaluation will carry on period after period, then it's not a very recommended option to do it like this. Okay? Now we see that December still is left open, but all transactions have been closed because it's the last period within the year. After we put again the close, we can again close this period. Okay? Now, maybe what I would like to discuss you at the end, the manual year-end closing here. Because as we discussed, NetSuite is not clearing the P&L balances at the year-end, but basically they remain within the system for the reporting purposes. And by filtering by accounting period, you can choose whatever data is displayed on your screen. So as we go here, display once again your profit and loss report, we see the report on your screen under balances. And for whatever reason you would like to clear the profit and loss balances in the account, you can create a manual journals and clear it to your return earnings or other equity account. It's not a recommended solution within the NetSuite because you will lose the granularity of data, apart from creating additional workload for you as well. So if you need to do it, you can do it, but it's not recommended here. Okay, now maybe final remarks, a quick summary. What we did together today. We went through the closing checklist for NetSuite, for all the processes, sub-ledgers. We created some recommendations, what we can do for one-word accounts, for multiple currencies, for reports you can use to streamline your reporting processes even further. Finally, if you have any problems with closing the periods, there are a lot of materials in NetSuite. There are some training videos you can look at. There's very extensive help features with answers. There are some updates you can have a look at. Finally, as well, you can also use our help here because we have a support department who is working for our customers. We have the consultants who are working on more difficult problems you may have with your year-end closure. As well, we have developers who may build and streamline some processes for you as well. Okay. As we run a little bit out of time now, so we'll close here. You are free to send any questions to the email address. We are very happy to answer them. Thank you for paying attention today. I wish you still a nice evening and Merry Christmas in a week. Thank you. Bye.